Hi, Aki. Good to have you with us today. So, as you know, at Egta, we really love to have experts giving us their opinion on some of the important topics our members are working on. VOD is an important one right now, no matter the business model behind it. AVOD obviously being one of the main focus for our members. And I know that you guys at Streamhub, you're working really at the center of all of this because you're helping broadcasters compile data, analyze data, leverage it. And I know you have a good experience on various markets about how the OTT ecosystem can be a little bit more collaborative and harmonized. And so we're very happy to have a bit of a chat with you today on the going beyond measurement for this OTT ecosystem. So thank you for accepting our invitation. So my first question would be, everybody wants an advanced ecosystem in which we have a cross-industry OTT measurement. Do you think that we're ready? Do you think that our industry is ready, and are certain markets more ready than others to have one of the unified really markets in that direction?
Hi, Anlor. Thanks for having. And yes, to answer your question, I think we're in a very exciting stage because if you think about it, the sort of the cross-industry measurements has always been at the center of the TV business, and data has always been at the center of the TV business. And now with OTT, it's just been a massive paradigm shift where, first movers have kind of brought in their own standards, the other bigger players starting to do the similar things. And so just in terms of the kind of overall framework, it's sort of lacking. And I think there lies the bigger challenge because, the OTT sort of, let's say, population is full census. As long as you're connected somehow, then that's an audience. So it poses a huge challenge in terms of the data volumes, the data quantity, the calibration of the data, the reliability of whether someone is male or female and what age groups they are. So I think that whilst the world has started in a very different, let's say, some players have started very differently, and the sort of broadcasters are catching up to that game. We've seen really good examples in, let's say, operators trying to do something very specific. And we've also seen sort of JICs and research companies to kind of step up their remit to try and create a standard and sort of make this OTT measurement a much more relevant thing that sort of can compete against this massive digital propositions that are kind of put forward by the FANGs, the GAFAs of the world.
Yeah, so, and we see some broadcasters trying to build their own measurement system, right? I mean, trying to have a bit of a semi-walled garden. What do you see disadvantages there? Do you think they should, what's your recommendation? Should they collaborate more? Should the JIC have an important role to play?
I think yes. I think it's very healthy that individual broadcasters can take the initiative to try and push things forward because there's a huge learning curve, both behind the technology behind it, the sort of let's say the business ecosystem getting used to it. But at the end of the day, I think if individual broadcasters keep on going down that direction, it becomes very difficult to sort of create or recreate the similar sort of scale, the brand safety, the standardization that the TV rating system has always offered. And I think it's just we're at this transition phase where people are just trying out new things, which is really healthy. But at the end of the day, I think that the JICs are in a really, or research companies in general, are in a really good position to sort of trying to transfer the existing, let's say, setup that they've sort of nurtured over the years in the TV side to bring in the OTT side and sort of go beyond even the broadcasters. I know that some initiatives are trying to invite the YouTubes and the Facebooks into that overall standardized measurement. In the case of Holland, there's both publishers and broadcasters alike are agreeing to a single video measurement, which I think is a really good start. So
yeah, and when you look outside of Europe, I seem to remember that you're running an initiative in Japan, right, where the JIC is quite involved. How is that working? I mean, what data are they sharing? How is that working, this collaboration? Can we get inspired from it?
Yes, I think there's a lot we can learn from that. We're really lucky to be sort of part of that entire ecosystem from the start. And I think in Japan, they've managed to do two things really well. One is that the JIX has stepped up to provide a very large online panel so that it becomes quite representative as a currency almost. And then the second big thing that they did is that they've created a unified platform called TIVA, which it's all the broadcasters kind of doing a joint venture to compile all their inventory and their best catch-up content, so that from a consumer's point of view, it's really easy to access the content. So it really brings out the best in terms of both the premium content and the sort of the advertising proposition packages that go with it. So in that setup, what's been really, really key is that everyone's agreed that they don't need to kind of go in different directions to invest in different technologies for the measurement side of things. And more and more, they're moving towards the kind of doing a more jointly aligned activation of that same data, which is kind of, if you think about what Google does, is that they offer a bunch of free services, collect as much data, and then use that data to specifically target for, Google AdWords or YouTube videos. So it's as simple as that. I mean, Google is just, in fact, copying what the publishers and broadcasters have been doing over the years, but in a digital way. So in Japan, the initiative that video research is pushing and the broadcasters together are doing is really, really very kind of on par in trying to compete with that digital proposition of having a very standardized measurement, which gives all the brand safety. It's a regulated, auditable data set. It's not a walled garden, and it's openly tradable, accessible by the different agencies. So, having really good access controls to what data you show internally to the broadcasters versus what you can show to the agencies and advertisers is very well controlled. And that same data can then be used to create specific targets, audience targets, to then go through the ad servers and then create much higher value CPMs and so forth. So
okay.
I think that's
and how if you don't mind asking, how transparent is that for the other broadcasters? Because I think that might be one of the fears that that broadcasters have usually. So they seem to fear a joint data system. What is transparent, how much they're sharing, I think is one of the key points that are preventing some of them from collaborating in some of the European markets. So how have you solve that in the Japanese case or in some of the other cases you might have seen in Europe?
Yes, absolutely. So the let's say the part of the measurement, which is kind of run through the JIX tags, offers a very basic set of measurements from views to unique users, and that data set is sort of fused against the online panel, should we say, which then offers that kind of currency proposition. But then when the broadcasters, what the broadcasters can do at the same time, that they can also upload their first-party registration data and create another sort of view of that same data set that the JIX are providing. So on one hand, the sort of online currency sort of type online panel fused data is available to see across everyone. But then when the broadcasters each individually bring their own user registration data, only each broadcaster is able to see that side of the data.
Okay.
And then further down the line, for activation purposes as well, that sort of protection of the data is very much maintained.
Okay, thanks. And so is there, from your European experience, is there a barrier for consensus? Is there currently some things truly preventing that kind of collaboration on the OTT ecosystem in Europe?
I think from what we've seen, we had really positive responses from Central and Eastern European markets. And I think maybe in the UK, we I think in the situation where each of the broadcasters are very, very, very competitive against each other. So I think it's more a political issue because the technical framework and the technical sort of execution has been proven to work either through our work in Japan or through various POCs that we've done already in Eastern Europe. So I think it's more a matter of time and consensus, and everyone just sort of agreeing on, maybe one thing is that we've seen a couple of these collaborative platforms like Join in Germany Loves TV in Spain,
Salto in France, or
yeah, that's right. So maybe through those kind of initiatives, those barriers to the political barriers, shall we say, and operational barriers can be easily overcome. So maybe in the case of UK, that's sort of what's missing at the moment. But I think in other markets that they do have these collaborations in place, I think it will help them advance that discussion. Because at the end of the day, it's about the cost you put in and agreeing on the operational model. But because the technology is now almost, ready to go.
Yeah, and let's hope the regulator agrees also for that kind of platforms, right? Because
Yes,
that seems to be a problem in some countries where the markets recognize the need to unify forces in terms of data sets that they would need to work together, but sometimes legally it's a bit hard. So when it has happened, after that, you're right, it's a lot of a political discussion. So maybe that's a good way of closing. Is there a call to the industry or a call to our members or to people who are listening in today through LinkedIn? Is there a call to the industry you can make to promote collaboration, or to say maybe we need to move beyond some things to make that kind of OTT ecosystem more harmonious?
Yes, I mean it's a big it's always a challenge, but I think the key here is to start small. And Google or Facebook or those guys didn't build their audiences overnight. And but the key is that I think great content that the broadcasters are creating will always be the main attractor. And I think that having that, I think when you go to OTT, even if it's a collaborative model or individual model, there's always options to start small. And by that, you really kind of iterate and build up the experience. Together with that, I think if the JICs and the research kind of companies for each market can join that conversation, I think it will make it a much easier proposition, because usually the JICs and the research companies are in a position to be able to mediate the discussions, especially on these collaborative matters. So from our experience, that's how it's worked well.
Yeah, and they're usually very trusted also on their market, right? I mean, the trusted reference, everybody knows that they are, independently audited, and that it's working on these kind of sources probably is also reassuring for most of our members, I guess. So if everybody just sets on their strengths, and our members are providing quality, relevant content, or national content that also makes a lot of sense for their country, and then the JICs are each of them playing their role. Plus partners like yourselves, coming with analysis on the data. It seems like we're optimistic about this working, no? 2022 looking good.
Absolutely. No, that's what I hope. And, we recently made an announcement of our partnership with Kantar Media across multiple markets globally to really try and, I think they have a lot of foresight and vision of how this market can evolve. So I think, it's an exciting time ahead. And, maybe it can grow beyond just video to, like HPV TV and RPD and all kinds of data kind of being centralized by these companies. So
yeah. Well, thank you very much, Aki. I think it's really interesting, and I hope that in 2022 we'll have more chances to discuss this around real coffees, at Egta breaks or events.
Definitely.
And it was already very good to have that as a thought, sharing for our members. So thank you so much. Let's be in touch soon, and hello to everybody out there.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Arno. Thank you.
Thank you.